And welcome in, everybody, to another episode of the High Low Sports Podcast. We appreciate y'all so much for joining us here on this Wednesday evening. If it happens to be another time later on in the week that you decided to check us out, we are the only sports podcast you will find on the internet that does not require a warrant to enjoy. It is DJ, joined as always by my co-host Kelcey. As we have the Super Bowl lined up, big names potentially on the move, and the NFL found a way to double down on embarrassment twice within a 27-hour period beyond their normal embarrassment. So, we got a lot to complain about today.
Yeah, first of all, I gotta say these intros are getting better and better each time, especially right now. I don't think we've had one in the last couple of weeks where I haven't come in laughing. So shout out you for that. But yeah, I don't know. We got a lot to talk about and not a lot of time. But we have more time than there were time for Champions League games today. If you watched any of those 18 games, all simultaneously played, congratulations. I applaud you. I was at work. So
I have some very serious concerns about your attention span and your ability to in your eyesight at that point to watch all those at the same time. But you know what? I'm impressed nonetheless.
Yeah, I could do 5 like for football, football Sundays. Those were fine. I could do the 4 on the screen and then one extra one. I'm really only paying attention to one though. Let's be honest. Like whatever the audio one is coming from, that's the one I'm paying attention to.
And then you occasionally, when it goes to commercial break, then you jump to the other one. Then you have the 4 Seahawks commercials going on all at the same time. And it's like, you got to be kidding me, Jimmy. One of you is annoying. I don't need 4 of you. Get out of here. So, you know what? It's a great idea in theory.
Yeah, yeah. Look, it's not as good as Red Zone, but you know what? They've got commercials now too, so we're all screwed.
Yeah, and besides, I'm greedy and I want to see every single play, so I can't do red zone. I have to see every single thing at once and I have to drive my attention span up the wall. But at least I don't have TikTok brain rot, which is a good way to lead us into the first part of our show. That is, of course, the tip-off. Brought to you by our good friends over at SeatGeek. Use code BelletSports for $20 off your first purchase, whether it's sporting event tickets, concerts, festivals, anything that requires tickets. Use code BelletSports and get $20 off your first purchase. And we are heading to the association as a big name potentially on the move, the Greek Freak. He's going to be Greek and he's still going to be a freak, but he's not going to be the Milwaukee Greek Freak. He has more or less said he is interested in looking for a new home, is how they worded it, which basically said, Bucks, we stink. I am wasting my time here. You can trade me now. I am okay with this. And the Bucks are like, okay, cool. The downside to this whole thing is you got a week till the NBA trade deadline. So if you're going to trade him now, well, you got to get going quickly. I think they said a handful of teams going from the Warriors and plenty of others who started looking to offer him. I don't know if trading him right now is the move either necessarily for both the Bucks and Giannis, because let's not forget he's injured right now. He has a calf injury. He's out for a month and some change. And we know calf injuries are they're like the new knee, like what knee injuries are in football and basketball, especially the calf injury is, if it says 4 weeks recovery, take 6. Like there's the ones you don't really mess with. Giannis is there's going to be a grace period when he joins any team, just his play style, how dominant he is, how the ball kind of rolls through him. It's not like a hypothetical, but if you put like a Steph or a KD on any team, worst case scenario is you can have them just be an elite shooter until they get going and they can still. With Giannis, you can't really stick him in the corner because, well, we kind of know how that goes. 99.7% of the time it's ugly. Then 1% of the time he looks like Steph Curry. It doesn't make sense. But if I'm the Bucks, I'm almost considering not trading him now. Being like, look, we'll move you in the offseason when there's more teams in the running because they're not already out of it per se. You have a little more of the draft situation, free agencies underway. You can trade more future picks. So I might consider waiting and I'm looking at the teams that can compete now. I don't know how much they want to gut their team to bring in Giannis, because you're not going to, unless somehow Nico Harrison stumbled his way back into a front office somewhere, you're not getting Giannis for one aging injured player who's going to want to trade out less than 300 days later and a single draft pick. So if I'm the Bucks, I'm really considering holding off on it.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's been a couple teams rumored about with some players that are injured as well, that they could afford to miss out on. Warriors being one of them. I mean, you're trading Jimmy Butler in that case. It's, well, probably not the best for both parties, but you know what? It might be better in the long run. I don't know, but it's going to be very interesting to see where he goes. It's going to happen now or it's going to happen this offseason. Take your pick. But if I'm the Bucks, I probably want it now, if I'm being honest, because what this tells me is Doc is not my guy going forward. And so I'd rather have all offseason to figure out who my guy is going to be and knowing what team he's going to have. And that's probably part of why Giannis wants out too. I mean, not only is it just the team dynamic just not working for him, Doc has rubbed, especially superstars, the wrong way many, many times since his days in Boston. this is a warning we had when he first took the job. Like, this might not work out, guys. Let's pump the brakes. So when you look at what Milwaukee has going for them, there's not a lot, and it's really Giannis, and that's about it. I do love there's obviously this rumored package going for the Warriors, which I just mentioned. I think is really interesting. Jimmy Butler, Jonathan Kuminga, Brandon Podziemski, and then three straight first round picks. So the next three they have in 26, 28, and 32. And then their 2031, they swap first rounds. So, like, if you're going to get rid of things, you probably feel pretty good about that package because one of those guys is injured. One of those guys you just picked up back again in Kuminga. Podziemski, you probably don't want to get rid of if you're the Warriors, but if it's Giannis in return, I mean, sign me up.
Yeah.
And the NBA, before we get into the draft conversation for picks, NBA draft sucks compared to every other NBA draft, every other league's draft. Like the amount of success that comes from anywhere outside the top 15 picks is limited. I mean, Jokic was the first non-top 30 player to ever be an MVP, and he was drafted during a Taco Bell commercial. So
that worked out for him in the long run. Now he probably has unlimited Taco Bell. So you know what? He's the real winner here.
Only league that has draft picks happen during a commercial break in the first 2 rounds.
Yeah, it's when you only get like 6 players out of a draft that end up playing meaningful contribution minutes, maybe 10 if you have a pretty good draft. That's where it gets a little bit rough. But what's tough with this too is I want to see him stay in the East, especially since the East has so many superstars injured right now, especially if the trade is made before the deadline. But there's so few teams in the East that can really offer a whole lot because all of them either traded their picks, so they don't have much to offer. Like I'm looking at the list. The Knicks would be a wonderful spot, and it sounds like Giannis would actually prefer to go there. You have Karl Anthony Towns, but that's about all you can have to offer. But they just brought in Miles Turner for $100 million. Like I don't know how well that'll work, and that you don't really have a lot of draft picks because you moved so many of those as well. So maybe you can also get like Miles McBride, get a third team involved or something like that. But the Hawks have a ton of picks and young players that they just got rid of Trae Young, so we'll see. And it's the East, so they might have a chance there. The Raptors would be great. The problem is I don't know because the Raptors being surprisingly good. Scotty Barnes has been awesome. If you could keep Scotty Barnes and bring in Giannis, I think that's a good fit. It's just what do you have to get? What can you do that while keeping Scotty Barnes and maybe Brandon Ingram as well, just to get rid of everything else? I don't know. The weird one would be the Magic, the team I was really high on coming to the year and has done nothing short of let me down. Word is Paulo Blanquero and the head coach there do not quite see eye to eye. Maybe it's a Paulo, the young, very promising guy for Giannis to go there. Maybe and this problem is they don't really have picks either because they gave them all away for Desmond Bane's biceps. So they're in another tough spot as well. So you're back where we were before the season when there was rumors of the trade. Rockets, Spurs, Warriors, like the same song and dance here. So it's
Heat. The Heat are always in these conversations somehow. I still don't know where they get the wiggle room from. I feel like they've had a bunch of guys on the books the last 7 years that just somehow are not costing that much, but they're still expensive players. I don't know. I don't know how the Heat do it, but the Heat are always out there.
They are depth over skill, that's for sure. Like they're 10 deep, but not any of those 10 are in the top 4 of others.
Look, hear me out though. All right. Here's my hear me out for this.
Are you putting him on the Kings?
I'm putting him on the Kings because you have DeMar DeRozan, you have a Keegan Murray, you have a Malik Monk, you have I don't know, take your pick, Russell, who's the other point guard, Zach LaVine. Take your pick, 2 of them in return for Giannis, and the Kings give up draft picks and swaps. Like
that Kings first round pick is always I mean, that's been a good lottery pick for many, many years. So
the Kings first round pick is great for whoever ends up with it. That's not the Kings.
Hey, it's good for the Kings until they get rid of that player.
No, they have like the last top first round, like the last first round draft pick they had that was useful was De'Aaron Fox. Before that was Tyreek Evans.
Tyrese Halliburton, he was useful. They just got rid of him.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Fair.
I'm saying they're good picks. They just aren't good for the Kings.
Yeah, they're just like the player just never lasts for the Kings. So if you're the Kings, maybe just don't take those draft picks anymore.
Just take out the middleman.
The same with the Colts in the first round draft picks. Just forget those guys. Give it to somebody else. Get some return on your investment at least that you know can work. I don't know. I don't know really what the plan is here, but there's a lot of things that can go better for Giannis and Milwaukee, and you just like at this point in time, go to a city that's known for international players. Sacramento does that. You know, Milwaukee was the next closest. Toronto, Those are all known for international players having success. Houston, New Orleans. Now, I know we joke about Giannis's food tours, but let's imagine Giannis in New Orleans on a food tour. I don't know how they get him, but I'd like to see Giannis having beignets and whatever other gumbo and shrimp and grits. I mean, just could imagine. It'd be
Giannis will
hilarious.
enter a Shaq era for the back half of his career. He'll go full Shaq mode for the last few years.
Go reverse Zion. So yeah, I don't know what he ends up doing, but it's not working in Milwaukee. So I still felt like one that was the writing was on the wall. It was either going to be him or Doc, and for whatever reason, no organization wants to move on from Doc correctly. So they just keep bringing him back and kick out all the good players.
What's insane too is when they got rid of Adrian Griffin to bring in Doc a little over 2 years ago now, they were 30-13 with Giannis and Dame Lillard as your two-headed monster. And since then, the wheels have flown off. The franchise has been basically stuck in the mud, and they have to, at this point, they have no other choice but to trade. But whoever does if they do make that trade for him in the next week or so, let's say it is a team like Miami finds a way to do it, someone like that, someone who has some room, maybe even Golden State. I'm going to try and get Drew Holiday too. I'm going to try and reunite those two because Drew Holiday is just hanging out in Portland of just like, hey, still can play
Dame
really
in at
good
the same
defense.
time. Dame's still a free agent.
No, Dame's on Portland.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he did go back to Portland.
Yeah, he ain't going. He left there once and it didn't go well. He ain't leaving again. Like that's home now. But see if you can bring in Drew Holiday. He's older. He's got maybe a year. He still plays good defense. He can contribute. Him and Giannis, they do good work together. So I'm just throwing it out there for whoever does it. But let us know down below who you all think should make the trade for Giannis, and should they do it now or should they wait, or doesn't even really matter. It's going to happen regardless. But we're going to now move from the association to the NFL, as we do see some people, their jobs, they are getting hired. The jobs are being filled, as we do have a handful of head coaching vacancies. And, speaking of Jimmy Haslam and the Giannis and trades and very bad things happening when he is the owner of a team, the Cleveland Browns finally got their guy, as Todd Monken is going to be the new head coach of the Cleveland Browns. But hold on, the drama doesn't stop there. Jim Schwartz, the defensive coordinator, highly well-respected defensive coordinator who is in the running. Yeah, he ain't going to be joining Todd Monken. He has informed the team that, yeah, he's out. He's not dealing with that. They wanted to retain Schwartz. This is where it gets really fun. Part of the process with all these young coaches they talked to, they said part of the stipulation after you did all your homework, because they were signing essays and weird analytical crap, they want you to keep the defensive coordinator. He is part of the package deal. You have to keep him. Then after all of this rigorous process, and I think 7 candidates said no to them, if my math is correct, you end up losing the coordinator anyway, and you bring in the head coach that clearly wasn't your first choice, who I think I like Todd Monken. I don't like this fit for him. Like this is not where I'd want him to go. I don't like this fit for him. I don't like this fit for anyone. At least he gets to go from one Pro Bowl quarterback to another, I suppose. But this is going to be an interesting fit for sure. But now you're right back to where you are. You need to replace your offensive coordinator and your defensive coordinator now. And you might have to replace your special teams coordinator since the Rams are interested in him.
Yeah. How could you have screwed this up anymore if you're the Browns? First of all, the coaches that said, yeah, I mean, at this point in time, unless he becomes,
unless he Josh McDaniels it.
Oof. Let's hope not. That we're at that point. But then they might bring back Schwartz, so you never know. I think the number one thing I just want to okay, let's start with Schwartz. Your defensive players love him. Your defensive players rally around him, and your defense plays well under him. Why you would go anywhere else already made you question what their plan was. And you and I talked offline, and you brought up a good point about maybe all these essays are just a way to get Schwartz to be the de facto guy. And maybe that was the case. Maybe that was the intention. But for whatever reason, it didn't work out that way. And then the Browns telling him this morning before they announced that Todd Monken's going to take the job, saying, yeah, we're going to go Todd Monken, but we still want you to be around. And he is still under contract, which is the really weird part about this, is he is still technically under contract with the team. But yeah, I imagine it's not going to last for very long now. But yeah, I don't know why they would do that to begin with. Now, secondly, Todd Monken, why would you come to Cleveland after playing Cleveland twice a year and seeing how bad their offense has been, and you, as an offensive-minded coach, look at this and be like, I can do this? No, don't do that to yourself. Don't let one of these young kids take it over. That would have been the smart play if you're Todd Monken. You go somewhere better. But for some reason, he ends up in Cleveland, and now he has to figure out this offense, this defense, and like you said, special teams potentially. It's kind of crazy. And also Todd Monken, by the way, I don't think he's a guy that would write very many essays. So feels very extreme there.
By the way, too, this is from back in 2019. The list of disgruntled Browns unhappy with the since fired head coach Freddie Kitchens wasn't just limited to the players. Offensive coordinator Todd Monken, who joins Cleveland staff that year after 3 seasons in Tampa Bay, told opposing coaches late in the season that the Browns were a total mess and that Kitchens' play calling often deviated from discussed game plan. So what you're telling me is you knew it was a mess. It clearly hasn't changed, and you're going right back there. So you can't make this stuff up. You really can't make this stuff up.
This feels like the guy who gets the opportunity to take a job knowing that the rest of the job is completely dysfunctional. Like everything else around him, leadership, everything is dysfunctional. And he's still like, you know what? I can fix this.
I can.
This is every woman who sees a man that she's like, I can fix him. And then she wonders why he hates the fact that she's trying to fix him. This is what's going to happen. This is what's happening with the Browns. So every Browns fan, I'm sorry, but you're going to be that girl that wanted to fix the team. And you got the same thing over and over again. This is you just keep going back to the same well. Like you've rotated the same 7 coaches from the same 7 coaching staffs over the last 3 attempts. Let's stop that. Let's try something new and see what happens. Because right now, whatever you're doing obviously doesn't work. And the fact that you keep thinking it does is the definition of insanity. So let's maybe don't do that, Cleveland.
They have so many needs and things to fill too that I kind of would want someone with either more head coaching experience or someone that's, for lack of a better terms, younger, somebody that could kind of build forward with the team too. Todd Monken's older, maybe obviously coaches last a lot longer and there's some time too, but I would like Monken to have joined Harbaugh as the offense coordinator for the Giants and maybe next year jump into a spot that makes more sense, or for you to take it over for the Ravens, assuming him and Lamar weren't beefing. Those would have been good options, but we'll see. The Browns is the Browns, but we'll see, because now there's at least they have that vacancy after however many people just said, nah, it'll be fine. No, thank you. We'll wait our turn. We'll go somewhere else. So, you know what?
I was on the way to Berea when the news came out. So I was already going to put my name in the hat for a job. I would have kept Schwartz on board for whatever Browns fans care. I would have kept Schwartz on board.
If Schwartz would have stayed.
He would have stayed. He would have been my first conversation. Forget the GM, forget the owners, Jim Schwartz.
Like, sir, I need you to stay, please. I'm begging you. We'll be.
Sir, I'm gonna go write this essay. I'm gonna kill this essay, kill these tests they're gonna give me, and then I'm gonna hire you for you're my first move ever as a coach, because it'll be, yes, Jim Schwartz is still my DC. He's actually the head coach in waiting. He's realistically the whole head coach, and I'm just here to hold a place until he takes over.
This is like, remember the Titans. Like we're both. It's Doc and Boom. We're both the head coaches right now too. Like, don't get it twisted.
Except for I'm not handling the offense or the defense. I'm just saying, you got this, bro. I'll be the Mike Tomlin of the group and just Joes and Schmoes it.
You'll say some really catchy things that sound like they could be on some Hallmark or motivational cards.
I'll take all the heat. I'll take all the pressers. I'll take all that. Keep my pay coming. I'll let Jim Schwartz really run the team.
Look, we want volunteers, not hostages.
One season, I'm out the door. Don't worry, Jim. One season.
Well, you know what's nice too is, speaking of the Ravens too, they did hire their guy, and one that makes a whole lot of sense, honestly, is Jesse Minter is heading back to Baltimore, where he'll take over, and glove fit perfect. No notes. This is also kind of like, dang, we wish we'd have been able to keep Mike McDonald a couple years ago as our next head coach. Unfortunately, Seattle saw that and took him away. Next best thing is probably Jesse Minter on the market. Younger guy, defensively very sound, won a national championship at Michigan with that elite defense. Chargers top 5 in scoring defense the last couple of years. If they could just stay healthy, who knows where they could have been. But that's another story. I love that move for the Ravens. It makes a ton of sense. If he brings in the right offense coordinator or the right team, I think he's going to get. I think it's the perfect fit for him. And I'm presuming Lamar's going to be there. I'm 98.9% sure he's going to be there next year. But there's just weirdness coming out of Baltimore the last year or so. So I'm going to presume he's there. You got an elite quarterback. He's going to fix that defense right up. In theory, you would think they're going to draft well, like they always do. Perfect fit.
Yeah, I mean, this makes sense. I think one of us predicted, if not both of us, like the idea of Jesse Minter to the Ravens when we did our carousel. I don't see how this really gets messed up, other than him not hiring an offensive play caller to keep Lamar there. I think that's the first order of business. Do that. Second order of business, though, and this is very important, don't try to keep your secondary intact. Feel free to get rid of some pieces. It's okay.
Shake some stuff up besides number 14.
Yeah, leave 14, leave 24, maybe get rid of 44. Like, maybe don't have to get rid of them. Maybe move them to safety or inside linebacker. Take your pick. I don't care.
Put him at defensive end at this point. They need a pass rush.
Yeah, it obviously doesn't work for him, so fix it. But yeah, that's like first order of business, hire an offensive play call. Second, figure out the DBs, and you should be on your right track. Go draft the top available player in the first round. That's a home run every time.
We already know what's going to happen. Somehow, with their pick in the teens, they're just going to hang out, and like Caleb Downs is going to roll right in there, like, well, if you insist, and then somehow they're going to
have our replacement.
You have 5 safeties, and somehow you're just going to plug and play them, and it's going to work. It's going to be like, well, we have 5 safeties on the roster, no corners. Nah, it'll be fine, and it'll be fine. Somehow it'll work obnoxiously because that's just what the Ravens seem to do. But another move that I thought I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it. I just kind of like, oh, it happened. Joe Brady being promoted for the Bills as the head coach at Buffalo. Get it? Basically just sticking with Joe Brady. And I get it because the offense has been really good under him the last couple of years. They've unlocked Josh Allen's ability to get pushed into the end zone like no other. They unlocked James Cook's best potential. The offense has been top 7 in scoring, I believe, this couple of years there. They've been top 10 overall offense. What I don't love about it is your owner went on his soapbox and started preaching about how the team was so distraught after the loss. Something had to change. They were stagnant. He blamed the coaching staff for Keon Coleman, who's still on the team, by the way. So now what you're saying is the defensive-centric head coach is the one to blame for drafting the receiver and that Joe Brady had nothing to do with it? Or are you keeping that coaching staff that you just railed in for drafting Keon Coleman, who you hated, who's still on the roster? Like, it's very weird that you did an internal promotion after all of the preaching that you did and defending of the GM who's drafted 2 Pro Bowlers in almost 10 years, not since they had Josh Allen. We'll see. That's gonna be a tough one because now you're promoted. Everyone, the expectation's the same. It's Super Bowl or bust if you're Buffalo. Yeah, you don't get really leeway as a promoted guy internally, unfortunately, as if you were someone else. The standard is the standard if you're Buffalo with Josh Allen at 30 years old. Like, the standard is bowl, get it done. Your job is to be better than McDermott. You can't. He was awfully good. Almost 100 wins to 50 losses in his time there. Like, he was awfully good. So it's a weird move, but Joe Brady's good. I like Joe Brady. I think it makes sense. I don't like it for the Bills. It just feels weird.
Yeah. So Joe Brady's had a pretty good run since 2019, right? National championship with LSU.
We'll take out that Carolina stint in there. That didn't go so well.
Yeah, that was the bad, but he didn't reset himself. First, it was like the passing coordinator, whatever they want to call that role, and then he worked his way to OC. It worked out very well with Josh. But there are moments, right, when the offensive play calling, you're just sitting there scratching your head like, what? And now this is the thing that I've always talked about, and I will continue to reiterate. Offensive head coaches who still call plays are a problem because you are not able to focus on the game as well as anybody else. Not everybody can be Tony Dungy. Not everybody can be Andy Reid. The greater quantity of offensive play calling head coaches fail. And that's what concerns me out of Joe Brady. And it's not like I don't think it's a bad fit by him. Obviously not, because his offensive game plan generally worked. But as a head coach, there's so many more responsibilities you have to deal with in just the week leading up. A young kid, literally 36, he is 1 year older than me. 36-year-old will be the youngest head coach in the NFL. Add all the pressure of now you have to get Josh Allen over the playoff hump is what was referenced in his press conference in a brand new stadium in Buffalo with the rabid Buffalo Bills fans who nobody rallies the wagons like the Buffalo Bills. And now you have to go figure it out as a head coach for your first time. It's not a great situation for any first-time head coach, period, whether it's Joe Brady or it would have been anybody else. But he probably has the best chance because he is an internal guy of succeeding first year. But honestly, I'll be honest. Hey, you want to fix your defense? You should go hire Sean McDermott.
Can you imagine if his first move is bringing Sean McDermott as a defensive coordinator?
It fits. Like, McDermott can make that defense work as long as the head. Like, honestly, the only problem with this defense is for whatever reason, front office will not bring in young players. They keep bringing in aging old veterans, and it's not helping anything. Their youngest corner is Taron Johnson, and I think he's like 29, 30.
They gave a lot of money to Von Miller, and who's not even on the team anymore.
They brought in a Bosa who is now very effective, mind you, but they still brought in a Bosa that wasn't the best Bosa. Yeah. So figure out your front office situation. But yeah, I think Joe Brady, honestly, on the field situation, probably not as concerning. Personnel and making moves, that's where I'm more concerned for Joe Brady than anything anything else. Because at 36, you're kind of going to be bossed around by Pagula, who's already bossed you around
That's
At this
already
point.
he's shown that's
Yeah.
a problem. Like
So
we got a little peek into behind the scenes there. And it's like, wow, is this the Browns just with Josh Allen basically covering up all the issues? Like, what's going on here?
this feels very much like I talked about when the head coach for the Panthers was hired 2 years ago. I talked about what that would mean, how being you're just kind of a vocal box for the owner. It didn't turn out that way, thankfully, but it does feel like the Bills is turning out that way potentially, and it's going to take Joe Brady to stand up to that and be like, "Nah, dude, you gave me the job. Let me do the job."
I will say
Or
I'm
just
also kind of butthurt because my hope was that in a year when Zach Taylor inevitably gets fired when the Bengals miss the playoffs again, that he would go to there and it'd be him and Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase Tigers again. It's like that's what I selfishly was hoping for, and then maybe Justin Jefferson gets sick of 9 in Minnesota, then ends up there. We're gonna get nice LSU reunion in Paycor Arena, and they'll still go 9-8 or 10-7, but it'd be at least be fun. So that was me being selfish. But speaking of
I
the
mean, I think I've given Joe Brady like a job every year for the last 3 years, so it's about time he got one.
I still wish he would have waited one more year. I'm selfish about it. But you know what? We're gonna stick in the AFC North for a quick one. Mike McCarthy joining the Pittsburgh Steelers as the head coach. I don't hate Mike McCarthy, but I don't like this fit because A, it goes against the entire Steelers tradition, unless he's where they hire guys that stick around for 20 years. I don't know if Mike McCarthy's got 20 years left. If he does, though, kudos to him. He's a good coach. I think he gets a little pooped on a little bit more than he should. I don't think he's elite, but I think he's good. I just don't like the fit with Pittsburgh. I think they're in a weird spot too. I mean, are we going to have the Mike McCarthy, Aaron Rodgers union, bring in Alan Lazard and Randall Cobb, call him out? We're Jordy Nelson at right. Like, go get him in there. What? It's just weird. I wish him the best, but I also don't because it's the Steelers and they need to bottom out once because they need it. So it's a weird fit, but you know what? Kudos to him. Like he didn't think about all that. He didn't let that affect his decision. He gets to coach his hometown team.
Yeah. Pittsburgh kid coaching the Pittsburgh Steelers. Great. Good on you. He'll coach until he dies if that's the way he's a Pittsburghian and that's what they do. Only problem I have is this man used butt aid, literally a butt preparation aid style butt aid. It's literally called butt aid as a inspirational talk when he was the head coach of the Cowboys. If that doesn't just typify the entire reign of Mike McCarthy post Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers, whether it's that Green Bay run that didn't go anywhere after Aaron Rodgers left, and now you had the Cowboys fizzle out the way they did, and now you're going to go to Pittsburgh where it was already a struggle and there's a lot of holes you need to fill. I don't think Mike McCarthy's a builder. I think he can maintain, but he is not a builder of teams. And like you said, I don't think this fits with Pittsburgh long term because 3 coaches in franchise history does not make me feel very comfortable that Mike McCarthy's going to walk in here and be successful. It's like you went from the top tier to, hey, here's a C grade replacement, but we're going to hope it works.
I will say the one thing I did like is a guy who's known for his offense and his quarterback development over his career. He did talk a lot about Will Howard in the press conference. So in theory, that means he sees something that he likes. Maybe he's going to develop, and you don't have to bottom out. In theory, you got your next quarterback. You get one more year of Aaron Rodgers. Maybe you can kind of almost do that Green Bay in handoff sort of situation, and then find a way to retool that extremely expensive and old defense in the long term and get DK Metcalf to, not get suspended. But that's a whole nother issue. But we'll see what they have to do. I'm very curious to see how that fits, but I wish them the best. But we've talked a little bit about the head coaching carousel. There's still some teams looking, especially the Raiders, who I think my guess is I think the Raiders are all in on Clint Kubiak. They are just waiting until that Super Bowl's over, and they're like, sir, please. I think they're just waiting and buying their time at this point. But that's just me. But we're going to move on from that to something that's just embarrassing, just utterly embarrassing. The Hall of Fame will not be including Bill Belichick this year, as they have decided he will not be a first ballot Hall of Famer because he didn't get enough votes. And I have a lot I want to say about this, but we're going to start by looking at this statement that the Pro Football Hall of Fame recently released. The respects and passion, it is very, I'm not going to read the whole thing because those who are watching can read it, and those who aren't, well, it's not that important. But basically, each year the Hall reviews the selection process, and the composition of the 50-person selection committee is determined that any member violated the selection process bylaws. They understand action will be taken. Yeah, I'm not buying any of this. I'm not gonna lie. This sounds like a little bit too. This tells me one of two things, maybe 3 things. Number one, they are really gonna try and punish Bill Belichick for the Spygate, Deflategate scandals, things like that. Like, you know what? You have to sit out a year. That's what we're gonna do. Which, if that is the case, if that's actually what they're gonna do, then that has to apply to Tom Brady when he's up. That has to apply to Robert Kraft, who was up this year too. Like, you can't pick and choose on just Belichick when they all benefited from it. So if that's the case, you need to say it with your chest, I guess. Keep it consistent. Don't just what's not what's good for the goose is good for the gander. You need to do it both ways. If that is the case, I guess I get it. If they follow through and do that with every single way, then I get it. But I still don't like it. If either that, two, just pure spite because Bill rubs people along the wrong way. He's not the nicest guy in the world. Or part three, which I think is very much the answer. They're just hating at this point. That's pretty much that's the reason why this is what they're going with. But I think this is embarrassing. He has 8 Super Bowl rings, 6 as a head coach, 2 as a D coordinator with Lawrence Taylor and the Giants. He 20 years, made the playoffs, I think 18 of those years. If you're going to punish him for that stuff, then Tom Brady needs to be punished too. Then so does Robert Kraft. They were all there for that. They all benefited the same way. Like, all of those quote unquote scandals, they were all there for. So it doesn't fit. It doesn't fit. It doesn't make sense. Either you tell him Pete Rose style, you're not allowed in, period, as opposed to go sit in the corner and count to 10 because we're putting you in timeout. Like, this is dumb. The Hall of Fame embarrasses itself. This is disgusting. I don't care how they got to this. I don't care if it's an accident. You're talking about arguably the greatest coach in NFL history. I think second most wins in regular season, most playoff wins, most everything, basically. He's got as many Super Bowl rings as fingers if you don't include thumbs. And if he does come back, he can get those thumbs if he goes to the right spot. So this is gross. I hate it. And I hate that I'm defending it because we grew up rooting against the Patriots. It was ingrained in us because they won all the time.
Yeah, I agree with that. So I've learned that there's been a caveat to this entire story that screws with the whole he just didn't get enough votes thing. Coaches getting into the Hall are included with senior members as well as a contributor to the NFL on a special ballot. It's 5 people. You're only allowed to choose 3 of them. This came from the Kansas City Stars voter. His last name, let me see if I can find it, is Gregorian. Gregorian. And for him, he explained that of the 5 people, he voted for the 3 senior nominees, which are Ken Anderson, Roger Craig, and Elsie Greenwood. All guys who probably should be in the Hall of Fame anyways, but are not. Bill Belichick was the only coach representative, and then there was a contributor representative. He looked at it from the perspective, well, Bill will have another ballot. But for Ken Anderson, Roger Craig, and Elsie Greenwood, this could potentially be their last ballot as senior people, which is fair. I actually understand his perspective. Now, the things I don't like is, why is a coach not on his own coach's ballot? That should be a thing. Like, you should literally just have your own coach's ballot because there's as many coaches potentially going into a Hall of Fame as there are players every year. And you could easily just have its own ballot where you select 2 or 1. I don't care.
Or none. Just whoever. If they're eligible, they get the votes, throw them in.
Yeah, right. That should be there should be no limit to, is this guy eligible? Yes or no? Cool. Should he be able to get a vote no matter what? Yes. It shouldn't just be the 15-man modern era ballot like what's all the players deal with. It should be a special, like, coaches version where it's only coaches. Seniors should be by themselves along with contributors by themselves. Knowing that now, I wonder how many of these 11 guys, maybe more, who didn't vote for Bill, if this was the reason they did it, because these might be older writers who are the name Elsie Greenwood, most young people don't know. Roger Craig, most young people do not know. Ken Anderson, I hope you know him, but maybe you don't. I don't know. But these 3 guys are well-deserving of a Hall of Fame spot, and if it's potentially the last ballot, maybe that's why. It doesn't justify the fact Bill wasn't a first ballot Hall of Famer. Bill should be a first ballot Hall of Famer, but it makes sense as to what occurred if this is the same thing that happened. Like, if it comes out that all the voters that did not vote for him are just older, like if they're 60 plus, I'm going to think it's more the senior contribution thing more than Spygate. And I do agree that Spygate excuse is BS. Get that out of here. If it's anything other than, I felt these senior nominees deserved the ballot because it could be the last one. If it's any other excuse they give, I'm calling BS. That's crap. But if it's the excuse you want to use is that these 3 guys contributed more to the NFL in their time than what Bill did in his, I can live with that. I don't like it, but I can live with it. And I think hearing that explanation makes a little more sense as to what happened, because all the news that's come out is this is Spygate related. This is a penalty for Spygate. I don't like it. I don't agree with that. That's crap. The guy's 2 wins, 3 wins, whatever it is, away from the all-time record. Like, let's not kid ourselves. This guy's a first ballot Hall of Famer. Anything less than that is an egregious thing. But in the situation that he was placed in, because he's placed in a special ballot with only 4 other guys, and then you can only select 3 of them, the Hall of Fame screwed this up. Is what this is. He should never be on a special ballot like that, unless the special ballot is, does Bill Belichick get in the Hall of Fame? Yes or no. And you pick yes or no. Those are the only, that should be the option he's allowed, because is he a first ballot Hall of Famer? Yes or no? Yes. That should be a resounding yes from everybody's perspective. So I don't know. That's seeing the report come out. I understand it more, but I don't like it at all.
I'm going to throw in the conspiracy hat and start twisting some of the tinfoil and stuff too. He was eligible this year. He could have been in the Hall of Fame this year. Bob Kraft is eligible next year. So there is opportunity that maybe they were going to force him to go in together, or they're going to make sure Bob Kraft gets in before him, because petty owners, everything like that, that's just the way the nature is. It does feel like they say you don't punish the kids for the sins of the parents. This is what it almost feels like, is he's getting punished for the sins of the past where they didn't get those guys in sooner. Maybe they should have got those guys in sooner. And some of those other guys that got in on the first ballot, maybe they shouldn't have gone in on the first ballot. Maybe there's some guys that were really good but shouldn't have been first ballot Hall of Famers. And now you have arguably the greatest and most accomplished coach of all time, not a first ballot. Like, imagine if Tom Brady doesn't get it on the first ballot and it's like, oh no, because we had to get in these older players. It's like, well, you should have got him in the first place. Like, you're discrediting the first. Hall of Fame is really divided into 2 sections unintentionally. There's the Hall of Famers, then there's the first ballot Hall of Famers. And
it will be different from Tom, though. But that's important to note, that it will be completely different for Tom, and it will be completely different for Bob Kraft, because they are on their own separate ballots that are not included in this 5-player special ballot thing with 3 seniors, a coach, and a contributor. So owners have their own ballot.
That's it. I know. I'm making the overarching point, though. About
right. No, I think it's important to not miss this point, that for Tom it will be completely different, because it's just a modern era 15-man and you just pick. For Robert, it's a yes or no, check a box. For Bill, it's like we put a special category together that coaches go in because we don't like all coaches. Here you go. And that's crap. That's the Hall of Fame is on the hook.
That the fact that you have your most accomplished coach in NFL history having to wait a year, like, when they made T.O. wait a year, it was kind of dirty too, because no one liked him, even though he's top 5 in every major category. It was dirty then, and you had to watch Randy going before him, who's this side by side contemporary he was often compared to. Don't get me wrong, Randy deserved to go in first ballot. So did T.O. This is crazy. I find this downright embarrassing. It feels, I don't know. I don't like it. They need to fix this right away. They need to go back like, hey, we're gonna revote really quickly.
Yeah, like put out a special poll. Does Bill deserve? Like, literally, just make it simple. Bill Belichick in the Hall of Fame this year, yes or no? Check a box.
That's all it has to be.
This is they're making this way too hard. This is just, it's so stupid to know that that's the case of why he might have missed out, is because they have old head voters who probably could care less about contemporary football, that are voting for the old guys every single time. And that's what I think I'm most concerned about it. And also it just brings up the whole conversation around Hall of Fame ballots and voting anyways, and how we already have a screwed up system. But all right.
I digress. They basically took away a golden opportunity. It's just like the opportunity to be a first ballot Hall of Famer comes along once in a lifetime. And when you earn it and you don't get it, I get why T.O.'s still mad about it. I get why I hope Bill comes back after he gets in the Hall of Fame and wins like 2 more Super. No, actually, not 2 more Super Bowls. I'm still mad at him for my childhood, but I hope he comes back.
I want Bill to be in freaking Cancun for the Hall of Fame ceremony, just like T.O. And you know what? I really hope Bob Kraft gets in next year with Bill, and they both boycott because of this. And it sounds silly, right? Everybody wants their moment in Canton. But that's what T.O. did, and it made sense. He went and celebrated with the people that are around him. He had his own thing. That is probably the best move for anybody who gets snubbed by the Hall of Fame in year 1. Like, look, screw the voters, screw the writers that did it. Like, you don't have to be friendly to writers in the NFL. Like, they're going to write bad things about you. Bill Belichick minced no words about how bad journalists could be. He also used the journalist to his advantage as a coach, but I'll leave that alone. The guy wasn't nice to media, and if that's the reason he didn't get in, yeah, it wasn't nice to anybody. That's true. But if that's the reason he didn't get in, that's BS. That's Bush League get the writers out of there. Like, you need a whole new set of voters every year if that's the case, because you can't have these legacy guys who are only voting for seniors and old heads. Like, that can't happen.
As much fun as it would be to have Robert Kraft and Bill Belichick kind of reconcile their differences and celebrate in Cancun, we both know that won't happen. Rob Kraft loves the happy ending to his career, so he's going to definitely be there for sure. Maybe Bill will take the time off, but we know that's going to be a happy ending with Rob Kraft at the ceremony as well.
Oh, there'll be snowballs thrown.
Hopefully it's not snowing in the summer, but we'll see. But
those aren't the snowballs I'm talking about.
Okay, fair play. But let us know down below if you all think Bill Belichick should have been a first ballot Hall of Famer, or if you know what, he'll be fine as long as he gets in. Let's just hope he's around next year for it. That's not, let's play that game. But that's going to do it here for the tip off and take us into our main event. And for the main event, well, the Super Bowl is set. We have two teams advancing the Super Bowl. The Seahawks making it back for the first time since, well, that infamous goal line stand against the team they'll be playing again. But Hawks back in the big game. Dominant season, 14-3, elite across the board. The only question, there was really no holes on this game on it. So you had a league leading receiver, 4,000 plus yard quarterback who's won 14 games back-to-back years, top 5 defense, 2 very good running backs, strong O-line. Yeah, Hawks, not gonna lie, this really feels like that Legion of Boom era level of Hawks team. Like they're complete all the way across the board. So I'm impressed how they beat the Rams, though, because the Rams were I think the stiffest competition they were going to face in the playoffs. And the Rams came out firing. Matt Stafford did what Matt Stafford does. He was awesome. And Sam Darnold still found a way to get it done, too. So I think, and that defense made just enough plays to get it done against the MVP playing at his best. Devontae Puka had a combined 255 yards and 2 touchdowns. And you still found a way to win. Like, that's good luck. I say this is a very complete team that, even though you had them as a playoff caliber team too in our predictions, I had my concerns. Yeah, I don't think anyone truly saw this coming where they were going to be the buzzsaw, where they're a 5-point favorite going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, this is impressive. I mean, you talk about the Rams game, just looking at the quarterbacks themselves, over 700 yards of total passing yardage in this game, 6 total touchdowns between the two. And it wasn't like they were one was blowing out. Like, did one have 400 plus and the other not have 300? Like, both 300. It was a vintage, I'm going to say vintage NFL matchup for quarterbacks. This was very much mid 2000s, early 2000s level where we're seeing just high flying offenses. But it's not like the run games were shy. I mean, you had 2 50-yard rushers, or well, 2 combined 100 yards total for the Rams, and you had Kenneth Walker at 92 yards and a tud. Like, okay, then you mentioned the receiving. Like, this is an incredible game. And yeah, the Seahawks finally coming out on top. Sam Darnold there. I think you mentioned the Legion of Boom and this team. I honestly think this team is better overall, top to bottom, than the Legion of Boom teams. I think the defense was great on the Legion of Boom teams and is definitely better than the defense now. But I think the offense is so much better than the Legion of Boom offense. And if Zach Charbonnet is healthy, him and Kenneth Walker in the backfield is at least equal to, if not slightly better combined, than Marshawn Lynch, because they can catch the ball out of the backfield. Marshawn did not catch the ball out of the backfield, unless you count Thomas Jones in that conversation. And I don't count him as, a contributing member of that Seahawks Legion of Boom team.
I'd say they're definitely very different eras, but I think they do very similar things. I guess that makes sense
too.
Yeah. I think they had the advantage at quarterback because that was also before Russ had really kind of peaked too. So
that was the best Russ. That was the best Russ for everybody wondering.
I'd say in a few years he was a little bit better, but the team was worse. But like, it was before he had gone into full let Russ cook. It was when he graduated from game management, but before he started feeling himself, before he started 2-stepping and trying to throw for 8,000 yards. It was like that between period. But I think the Seahawks team is absolutely outstanding, and we're going to see. I think they're going to be in for a matchup. But I want to return back to the Sam Darnold conversation too, because the redemption arc, I think, is pretty much complete at this point. Like, you can't really say anything. But the best part about his whole thing is last year we talked about when he's in Minnesota, the 14 wins, 4,000 yards. He played the Seahawks team last year, and this play right here, where you see his situation down 20-24, you know how it ended? With a Justin Jefferson touchdown, slightly up. Damn it won't let me scroll ahead. Either way, it ended with a Justin Jefferson touchdown up the sideline to win the game. So the fact that he more or less got this job against the team and coach that he's playing for right now by having a game-winning drive, and this Minnesota was willing to let him go because they were like, you know what, we can't really bring him back. We got the young guy that we just drafted. And sure enough, he goes to the Super Bowl because of what he did against that team in week 14 last year, I think it was. So it's very poetic. And the best part is he's going to be playing against the team that had him seeing ghosts, quote unquote, the team that started that issue all those years ago, he gets the chance to go full circle poetic mode and fully erase that doubt. So this is what if Hollywood didn't stink right now, this is what Hollywood stories would be made of.
Yeah, I think it's worth noting Sam, since his career, right, is 8 seasons long. His first half of a career, booty cheeks. Just awful. Negative touchdown to interception ratio. Since 2022 with the Panthers, his second year with the Panthers, a positive touchdown to interception ratio every single year, including his very short stint with the 49ers, where he still had 2 touchdowns and an interception. So still did better, though. But in those 4 years, his QB rating has been above an 80. So when you compare that to before, it barely crossed 80 once. And then the last 2 seasons, 8,000 combined yards, 60 plus touchdowns, only 26 interceptions to the 60 plus touchdowns on 2 different teams, leading both of them to 14 win records. Sam Darnold is definitely a byproduct of the team around him and the coaching staff around him, and I think that's obvious now. I think it's very clear that coaching kills quarterbacks. If you haven't heard that on the show yet, where have you been for the last 5 years we've been doing the show? We've talked about this ad nauseum. And he is the perfect evidence of what happens when you put a quarterback with talent around coaches who know how to call that talent. You talk Kevin O'Connell, before that Shanahan. Even the 2022 Panthers had a better offensive play calling system than the 2021 Panthers. And then now the Seahawks with McDaniel and squad. This team knows what they're doing, and they put Sam in chances to succeed. And this is the result. It's been impressive to watch.
First of all, we've been doing this for 7 years now. Don't
Sorry, my bad. 7 years. I need to update my resume.
Let's get it together. But I can't agree more. We mentioned the poeticness. He does get to take on that New England Patriots, who, here we go again. They're right back in the Super Bowl, as if we couldn't just have a few minutes of them being down. They had to find their way right back in. They're about to have, I think it was like the 3rd easiest schedule of all time, the easiest in since 2000. They still got it done, though. You can only win the games put in front of you. They will have fewer they have as many double-digit team victories, including the playoffs, as the Seahawks have double-digit team victories in the NFC West. So they each have 4 because the Seahawks beat the 49ers and the Rams twice, where the Patriots just got 4 total, including their 3 playoff games. It's weird, but at the same time, there's only so much you could do. Like 50% skill, 45% luck, 5% else miscellaneous. It's like, They got here. They're awesome. Their defense has been spectacular in the playoffs. They have neutralized Justin Herbert in that offense completely. Seeing ghosts. CJ Stroud was probably the worst half of football he's ever played in his life, and he played Michigan multiple times, and that didn't go well either. And then against Jared Stidham, well, they won the game. I'm not gonna say much about that. That was a interesting one, but this is the weird situation. It feels very similar to their very, very first Super Bowl all the way back in 2001, where it's like, how did they get here? That was Tom Brady's first full year as the starter after Drew Bledsoe got his internal organs destroyed. It's a very weird spot where it almost feels like it's almost like, wow, are they going to pull this off? I almost feel like I have to put some money on the side that they're going to pull it off, because this just feels like how the dynasty started. And I'm mad about it because I hate it, because what does it do? We finally beg for the Chiefs' downfall, and it leads us right back to where we started. So if I'm the Patriots, though, looking forward, that is a very bright future. And this just goes to show, when you bring in an elite coach with a young quarterback who's willing to learn and develop, and you spend money, they spent $280 million off season, you can rebuild very, very quickly. It doesn't have to be a 3-year period. You can rebuild quickly if you have the right infrastructure in place. And if you bring in the right coaching staff and the right head coach, and you spend the money in the right spots, which they did.
Yeah. They're an evidence of, what I just talked about, coaches being the deciding factor, right? You bring in Vrabel, you fix a lot of your issues during the draft. You filled in holes in free agency, and guess what happens? You support your team and you watch them win. And yeah, we could talk about the quarterbacks they matched up against this year and how bad they were and how many coaches got fired on teams that they were facing this year. You could talk about all that. But at the end of the day, you're right. You can only win the games that are in front of you. And if that's not the Patriot way, I don't know what is at this point in time. But Patriots fans, stop all this. Oh, it's about time. Oh, thank gosh, we're back here again. Stop it. Silence. You guys weren't gone long enough for it to be that case. You won too many in a row for you to be only gone for 7 years, and it mattered. It's not even 7 years. It's like 3. Yeah. It's pandemic level. Since pandemic to now, it's like, oh, great. The Patriots are back again. Stop it. You had Tom Brady. You had one of the greatest of all time, probably the greatest of all time, depending on who you ask. And honestly, now you got a great situation going with Drake May. If everybody stays healthy, it seems like it's a very great situation for them. And honestly, I love what Vrabel did with their defense. Putting Christian Gonzalez on one side, Carlton Davis on the other side, it makes a lot of sense. And then adding pass rushers that you don't really have a big name pass rush. It's just a very effective pass rush. It's been impressive to watch. And honestly, and you look at the linebackers, right? And that's always been a strong piece of the quote unquote Patriot dynasties is a strong linebacking core. Are they as strong as they once were? No, but are they still really, really good? Yep. I'd say they're pretty good. So
Milton Williams has been really nice too. The Eagles could use somebody like that this year at certain points, but he's been great for them as well. Every signing they made was intentional and it worked, which is what I think is huge. Is there was no fat they had to trim around. Everything they did had purpose and actually hit, which I think was huge. And the fact they got Stephon Diggs too for almost the entire season, not get in trouble. And when he did get in trouble, they at least were able to postpone until after the Super Bowl. So I think that's huge.
And the best Stephon Diggs, not the questionable Stephon Diggs moments on the field. Like it was actually the best Stephon Diggs.
And when he did do questionable stuff, it didn't affect on the field, which is great. And you got Kayshon Boutte. You got the best out of him, who there was a point in time when he was arguably considered the best receiver in college. Well, he was in the consideration to being one of the best receivers in college football.
Oh, he was the best college receiver for sure his last year or second to last year.
And Marvin Harrison and Jalen Hyatt would be in that conversation.
I said second to last year. So
then that year, JSN and Chris Olave and those guys were there. My point being, he was awesome.
Top 5, and he wasn't 5.
That'll be fine. The point is, he was awesome. They got him for such a complete steal, and they got the most out of him. Pop Douglas, Hunter Henry, who's still going strong. The offensive line has some work to do. They're all right. They need Drake. They got some work to do still, but we'll be fine.
They can be got. Look, Will Campbell, you got your work cut out for you in the Super Bowl.
He might need to move to guard at some point soon, but unfortunately, I think that the arm length might actually be coming to get him right now. Unfortunately, they need to play Travion Henderson a little bit more, but that's whatever. They'll never listen to that. But what I think is most interesting is this is also a Mike Vrabel redemption arc as well, because after leaving the Titans after a couple of rough years, we remember the 7-9 and 6-11 years after 3 consecutive playoff runs. We all remember his face on the screen when he found out they traded AJ Brown during the draft. He looked like he just had Chipotle basically, and it was starting to come back to haunt him. I was kind of ousted there. They've fired 2 GMs since then. Made no sense that they got rid of him. The best part about him being in Super Bowl, though, is not only does it prove that the Titans were clueless, but you can always go back in time and find something funny, because back in the day, he did agree to have a certain removal surgery if he won a Super Bowl as a head coach, saying it was all fun and games, alluding to being married for 20 years. A few years later, he adjusted it, saying that only if it was guaranteed to be surgically reattached. And unfortunately, right now, he's trying to say, you know what, cutting in half, but not cutting the whole thing off. So, unfortunately, Mike Vrabel, the internet never does not forget. So, if you do win the Super Bowl, you have to live up to your end of the bargain. You can't be lying like that. You can't be changing your mind just when things get serious.
Yeah. Look, you got to follow up, man.
I'm not going to be able to confirm or deny if you did. I'll take your word for it. So you can lie. I'm just saying.
Yeah, say what you will. I'll trust you at the end of the day. I'm not going to fight you. You're still a big man, and I'm still not a fighter. So not going to fight Mike Vrabel and find out if it's true. But the guy's nothing if not convicted when it comes to winning. Like the guy is convinced he should win every single game, no matter how bad his team is. And you mentioned the AJ Brown thing. If you haven't seen his reaction where he just stands up and like walks out for a minute and has to come back and collect himself, go watch it. It's hilarious
and accurate.
But it just sums up. Again, coaches matter. It goes back to our Browns conversation earlier, right? Coaches have to have the ability to succeed around a front office, and if the front office doesn't help you, you're not going to succeed. And in the Titans case, they didn't help him. But now you get Mike Vrabel, who is a Patriots beloved icon when he played. The dude had more offensive touchdown passes than any other linebacker in history, any other defense player in history. So that's something. He has more career touchdown passes than some tight ends had in their entire career. And you have Bob Kraft giving him every support. And this is the result: is you let Mike Vrabel do what he does, and he's shown he can do it at the top level now. So proves that the Ryan Tannehill years weren't a fluke.
I will say this is also just at the Browns. You had him on part of your staff last year. So, maybe if you knew you were going to make a mess and fire everything and be a catastrophe, maybe you should have done it a little bit earlier.
How the Browns let that man out of the state of Ohio, I will never understand. Because not only was he there, he was also with Ohio State at one point in time, and yet you let him walk out of that state.
It's the Browns is the Browns, but also it's going to be very poetic when no matter what happens, he ends up being able to position to potentially trade for AJ Brown this offseason when Stephon Diggs. We'll see how that situation plays out. I'm not going to get into legal jurisdiction, but if I'm the Patriots, like, you know what, how can we be a little bit better out there? And
on
then,
the positive side of that, when the Eagles decide they finally get an OC again, and they're like, I don't know what to do with AJ.
Well, we'll see if they get an OC again, or if Nick Sirianni's going to have to take it back up again. But we'll wait and see for that one. But we're going to now move on to the last part of this quick little Super Bowl look at is right now as we look ahead, the Hawks are early favorites at -4.5 over the Patriots. So, this makes sense. We saw, in my opinion, the two best teams in the NFC Championship game. They had a duel for the ages, or at least duel for the recent memory. Patriots survived Jared Stidham and really Sean Payton. Like, it was rough. You still won the game. You made the plays. Drake made the big rushing play on third down, the ballsy call to make it happen. Got the edge. If Nick Benito was in that, wouldn't have happened, but I digress. So at the end of the day, it makes sense. I'm honestly not terribly surprised I'm surprised it wasn't 5.5, but it makes sense because they're at the same time probably thinking the same way I'm. Is like, are the Patriots really going to do it again? All right, we can't give them that many points, but you can't have the Seahawks as dogs either. And it's not a pick 'em. You can't make it a pick 'em game no matter what happens at this point.
Yeah. Plus, you get the edge for being Sam Darnold in sunny California. I think
West
that
Coast
matters.
Sam is a different beast. That's
Although
sure.
I will say, Sam Darnold in the rain in San Francisco is undefeated in his career. And I'm not talking at the pro level. I mean, specifically in college, I watched a game where he threw so many touchdowns in a pouring down rain game. And yeah. But I do think he actually is undefeated in San Francisco when it's raining. So I don't know.
He might be. I know he's done pretty well when he's not on the coast, East Coast,
Yeah.
basically. As long as he's avoided East Coast, he's been just fine. And for the most part in California, he's been fine, minus last year's playoff game against the Rams. But I could blame the wildfires for those. The smoke got to him.
And here's some more fun stats for everybody. No quarterback with a last name shorter than 5 letters has ever won a Super Bowl. No quarterback with the initials DM has ever won a Super Bowl. They're actually 0-6. So yeah, there you go. So I don't know. I guess that's why Vegas. I don't know what they go into making odds. I don't know what these prop setters are, how they go about it. Honestly, I could probably learn. I just don't care enough because I'm frustrated by betting. So we just don't do it. I don't care enough to learn it. But you know what? 4.5 seems about right. It feels like this should be a relatively negligible difference by the time the game starts. But for now, this kind of just makes sense. The more dominant team all season gets the favorite.
I can say by the time the Super Bowl kicks off, this will either go up to 6.5 or it's going to drop down to like 3. Because either everyone's going to hammer the Patriots as 3.5, thinking that, or plus 4.5, thinking the Patriots will win, or they're going to hammer the Hawks, thinking the Hawks are going to kill them. One way or the other, I think this is going up at least a point in the next week.
If Drake May is on the injury report all the way up to the game, like he was today, go ahead and put money on the Patriots because that means they're just pulling the old Patriots thing of putting people on the injury report, even though they're not really injured. So,
ironically enough, they might be in trouble for doing the opposite because the rumor was that Drake May's been dealing with that shoulder all season, but he has not appeared on the injury report once. So the Patriots once again finding themselves into bending the rules. So once again, Hall of Fame voters, bending the rules is no reason to keep someone out of the Hall of Fame, but I digress. So I'm not going to
considering his completion percentage, you can keep him off the IR report. It's okay.
If he's injured, if he's been injured all year, it's your job to listen. I'm just saying, rules are rules. If we can't take the bending rules from the Patriots. Clearly that has repercussions later on down the line. But I digress.
Oh no, I'll take my 6 Super Bowls, 8 Super Bowls, and all those.
They set the standard. They set the standard, not me. I'm just saying they should enforce it. I would agree, but
now I will say, like, if Bill Belichick has a bonus in his North Carolina contract for getting into the Hall of Fame in the NFL. That's Bush League that he didn't get in, even more so than we're already saying. But, like, if he doesn't, I mean, it's not like he gets paid more for being in the Hall other than just having a fancy gold jacket. Like, I don't know. He's not a guy that's going to sit there long enough for them to make a bust out of him. So they're literally going to be doing a bust out of his picture.
They're going to have a bust of Jordan on his shoulder right next to him, too. That's why they won't do it. Actually, might have cracked conspiracy. But be sure to tune in next week. We're going to go through our full Super Bowl breakdown, similar to what we did with the National Championship game. We'll go through the position grades right down to our picks and everything. You won't want to miss that at all. But that'll now take us into the final part of our show, which is, of course, Crunch Time. And for Crunch Time, I'm going to round us out by saying be sure to follow us on our YouTube page. We'll be having more UFC bets and breakdowns coming up in the next couple of days for the next UFC card. First one we didn't do so hot. We were at 66% last year. Not a good start this year, but that means there's plenty of time for the comeback. It is still January, even though it'll be February really quickly. Time sure does fly, except in January. But we're gonna bounce back, so be sure to keep an eye out for that as well as some other videos coming that way too.
Yeah, can't wait. I know this. Look, hey, first Paramount UFC event. What was it like?
They got some work to do, but it was cool. They got some work to do, but it was cool. It was a solid work, but it's only up from here, I presume.
Oh, there you go. That's all you can do. Same with our bets, right? As frustrated as I am with bets, I trust you wholeheartedly with the UFC stuff. I'm just going to stay away from betting, as I was 1 or 3 total yards and 1 completion away from hitting a stupid parlay, and 3 total yards. 3 total
parlays will kill you. That is the
look,
way.
I don't care. It was a free bet, but at the same time, I can't lose my 3 yards and an incompletion. That's just not. That's the moment that they're like, oh, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna take this one guy's bet that's so close, and we're just not gonna hand the ball off to Kyron Williams, who gains a yard, and they don't give him the yard.
Gained like 3/4 of a yard, so they couldn't give him the full yard.
And he gained a quarter plus out of all the other runs, and they only just rounded it down. Like, come on, just give the man the yard. The dude had 40 yards in the game. It's okay.
Can't have that. Unfortunately, yours was the bet they purposely went against. But this is going to do it for us here on the Hello Sports Podcast. We appreciate y'all so much for joining us. Be sure to tune in next week and follow us on all of our socials, and we'll see you all again next.